Well, great to be joined by AFC Wimbledon assistant manager Nick Daws. How have you been coping during these very different times for everyone, Nick?
Yeah, it's been strange. I suppose the fact that we're virtually at that point where we're due to return sort of makes me feel now like the last 4 months have flown by, because it doesn't seem like 5 minutes since myself and Glyn were driving up for the Doncaster game to train at Loughborough University. On the way up, we'd agreed to do a Q&A with their coaches because we know Richard Allen, the sporting director there, from our days at QPR. So yeah, that seems strange. That seems like yesterday. I know a lot of people have said, it's been tough. It's been a bit of a grind, but I guess from my point of view, to be able to sort of put the recruitment hat back on and not have to worry about the team has had its positives, and that's keeping me busy and allowed us to to develop that side of things. Hopefully, with the fact that we can reap the benefits further down the line. That's both short term and long term. So yeah, it's been interesting. It's been nice to spend time with the family, and but yeah, ready to get back into it and looking forward to get back on the grass.
Yeah, I sense from the gaffer as well, having spoken to him a couple of weeks ago, he's getting a little bit frustrated watching the games on TV. He doesn't like the sound on, and he doesn't like the sound off of the crowd. So what have you made of that? Has it been difficult to watch? You want to get back out there?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I've sort of conditioned myself to watching the odd Premier League game. Yeah, I think initially found them pretty entertaining with the crowd noise. Clubs have obviously done creative things to try and mask the fact that there's nobody sat in the seats. But yeah, it's got tougher and tougher, I think, as the weeks have gone by. I did find the playoff semi-finals and the finals in League One and League Two difficult again, because there was no crowd noise. So to watch the two finals at Wembley without without any noise whatsoever was a bit surreal. But yeah, it just shows you the importance of the fans, and also, I guess, from our point of view, with the exciting future that we've got not too far away in the return to Plough Lane, that it highlights it more than ever, the need to get supporters back in.
You are, of course, a big cycling enthusiast as well. Have you been able to get out and enjoy a little bit of that carefully?
I have. That's been one of the massive plus points. I mean, it's a big part of my life, as the guys that I work with know, and that's been the case now for, I don't know, on and off for probably 10 years. Probably took too long of a break after retiring at 34, 35 to find something that kept me active. But no, cycling's my big passion away from the game, and it gives me a really good mental break, and obviously a massive physical challenge as well. We've got a ride lined up with the club that I ride with up here on Saturday morning, which will probably be my last one. And that's going to involve hills, which is probably the thing that doesn't entice me back onto the bike too much. I'm not built for hills. I'm built for the flat and built for going downhill, but not certainly climbing up them. So that's going to be interesting, come Saturday afternoon when I've finished.
It's good to hear. Another thing as well I've got to talk to you about, of course, you are assistant manager of a fan-owned club, but a club that's also very close to your heart was Bury Football Club over the years. They're coming back as Bury AFC, fan-owned as well. And you've been trying to do whatever you can to help out, get them off the ground, yeah?
Yeah, I've done a few little bits. I mean, going back to the sort of physical exercise. I mean, in more recent times, actually, I think it was a week before I came down as Glyn's assistant back in October. I decided, or I was asked to play in a Bury Legends game, which was basically supposed to be about 30 guys, ex-players from various coming together to have a kickabout on Radcliffe Borough's ground, which interestingly is where Bury AFC are going to play, I believe. And when I arrived, that turned out to be about 21 of us. So it forced a few of us into 90 minutes, which nearly put me out of any physical exercise for a while. It took me a while to recover. The knees didn't thank me for it, and I've vowed from now on in to limit my footballing activities to coaching and doing the odd little bit with the boys on the training pitch. Certainly no 90-minute games again. So that was the first thing. I actually turned down a couple of repeat offers after that because of what I've said. Done an article for a young boy, which I believe Ivor's done as well, which is around the story. Interestingly, a young schoolboy who's an aspiring journalist. So that was nice to give a little bit back to somebody like him, and thanks to Ivor for doing the same. And just sort of keeping in touch with people that have been affected massively, supporters that I've known for 25 years that have been severely hurt, both from not having a team to watch on a Saturday, but also the sort of mental health challenges about having what is a big part of their life taken away from them. So that hits home, when you hear those stories and you see some of the things that people have had to put up with. But as I've said all along to everybody connected, the evidence of obviously my time in the last 18 months with AFC Wimbledon is that there is a future, and it may take a while to get back to it. But like you guys that have been involved with the club for so long know, it's not necessarily about playing, eating from the top table. It's basically about having a football team and something to turn up to on a Saturday, support, win, lose or draw, and have the social interaction that comes with it.
Yeah, that's so good to hear, and we wish Bury AFC all the best, of course, as they get off the ground. Turning to ourselves here now with League One and how that's shaping up. Of course, you've managed Scunthorpe United in the past. What do you make of how League One is shaping up now ahead of next season? Because there's still a few more issues to sort yet, isn't there?
There are. I think obviously the whole situation's clouded by the current issues around COVID-19, and I think clubs are navigating their way through that in the best way that they can. I think ultimately things will shift slightly in terms of potentially the finances, and we're not sure exactly how that stands yet. But I still think that the big hitters in the league will be the ones with the biggest budgets, and the clubs like ourselves, will face the challenges of trying to grow and compete and win football matches based on smaller budgets. I think that's apparent. I mean, we've been doing a lot of work around players in the last few months, as you know, and we've been looking at players that perhaps we wouldn't have looked at before. But even so, those clubs that have got a major benefactor, have for the want of a better phrase, have gazumped us in terms of being able to offer bigger salaries, and that's the unfortunate truth about it. But it is what it is, and we accept that, and we'll try to make the best of what we have at the moment, knowing that when the new ground is bouncing with an increased attendance than we had at Kings Meadow, then it puts us in a better position. So difficult to know. That the clubs that have come up will come up with a lot of momentum, irrespective of what their budget is. So that if they keep that squad together, that will be a big plus point for them. Obviously, the clubs involved in the playoffs is an interesting one, because they've been training for 4 or 5 weeks. We'll have a short break and then go back again. So there is an argument that they've got a bit of a competitive advantage in that sense. And the clubs coming down from the Championship are going to be strong, as they always are, just because of the parachute payments and the revenue that they've had from the last year, 2, 3, 4, however many years in that league. So I think things will be pretty similar, but like I said before, it's up to ourselves, to put the best team on the pitch and keep it on the pitch.
Lynn explained that you were getting a COVID task force together in terms of when you were trying to get the squad back together in for training and on-site testing. Is that something you've still been able to stick to at the moment?
Yeah, well, that's been part of the process, and there's been a lot of the work that we've been doing as a staff has been remote, and with the occasional Zoom get together, and obviously Glyn's been the one that's been pulling it all together. So we've all had sort of different focuses. My focus obviously has been on working with the scouts again and getting the recruitment database up to speed. Chris and Dougie and the guys, that have been closer to what's actually going to happen when we return, have been working incredibly hard, which has been fantastic. And when we've been feeding things through, we've just had to find novel ways of looking at a restart, and that involves adhering to the government guidelines, the EFL guidelines. In terms of small group training, individual group training, small group training, until we can return to full group training. So I suppose the benefit that we've all got is that, clubs at our level, those playoff sides that I talked about before, have gone through that process. So a lot of the learning has been done already, and that's helped us out. But no, credit where credit's due to the guys, down there. In terms of organising that, it's had to be a slick operation, and we'll do what's necessary.
I guess another aspect that must please you as well, we're just talking about the cycling, is a lot of the lads have got bikes, and they've been getting out on their bikes as well, keeping fit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see, and I think it's especially with the challenges of social distancing, and gyms being closed, and our boys are not like some of the boys in the top tiers that have got gyms of their own in their houses. They've had to find other ways of doing things, and cycling's been one of them. I'm on there's a site called Strava where you upload your rides or your runs, and some of the boys like Terrell and Mitch before he left, and Joe Piggott have been doing quite a bit of cycling, so that's been great. And obviously the guys that went out with the action group a couple of weeks ago covered, I think, 50 miles, touring around the area, doing fantastic work, which has been great as well to see again from afar. Just a pity not being able to take part in it, being so far away, but no, it's been fantastic, and it's allowed those boys to keep ticking over, ready for the return.
So we've been given, of course, the transfer window kind of dates for when that's available now. We're still awaiting the actual confirmation date of when the league season will start. Is it a case of controlling what you can control at the moment, and just the other bits will fall into place, hopefully?
Yeah, for sure. I think we're all really pleased that we've got to that stage now where we can certainly, control quite a bit. And I alluded to that with the task force and the planned return to training. We have an idea. I think everybody has a strong idea when the season will start now. So we've got a period of weeks to prepare the players for that first game. The challenge, obviously prior to the decision to finish the league as it happened, at that point we had very, very little control, and that was the hard part. In terms of planning and preparing. Making decisions on players, tough decisions on players, and on younger players as well from the academy, and also that ability to know who we can bring in and where to target our focus. So yeah, we're nearly there. I think we're only a matter of days probably away, hopefully, of knowing that, and then we'll be able to go all guns blazing, to like I've said before, a couple of occasions in this interview, to get the team as well prepared as we possibly can, and give it our best shot as we always do.
Yeah, it's important as well to stress, I think Glyn really wanted to say as well, that what the players achieved last season, okay, it wasn't the ideal sort of outcome, but they can take a lot from that we go to Plough Lane as a League One club.
100%. I think I've been privileged enough. I've been privileged to now this coming up to be I'm not sure it's my 5th or 6th consecutive season in League One, and I know the challenges that come in this league. Everybody thinks, or everybody puts a case forward for the strengths and weaknesses of a particular league, but I think League One in itself is challenging. I explained about obviously the clubs that come up from the league below, and the momentum that they carry, that's a huge one. I did that as a player with Bury, Rotherham, the other club that I spent most of my career at, did the same thing, but and also both clubs went through again into the Championship. So you can see what is what is possible. Yeah, it really is going to be a very difficult situation to navigate, because everybody's at different stages, and hopefully we'll be geared to it when we get back.
It is a young squad you've got at the moment, but how much are you looking forward to working with these young players as well?
Yeah, well, I think we, if you talk about potentially, breaking down barriers a little bit, the perception is generally that, experience is vital across the board. But I think we proved last year that both, during Wally's time, at the back end of last season, in blooding the players that he blooded, and then when Glyn took over, and obviously then I came on board in October, on the coaching side, that we're not afraid to give young boys a chance. Homegrown and hungry is one of the the motto of the academy. In terms of recruitment last summer, Wally's remit to myself and the guys at the time was young and hungry. So carrying on that tradition, and we've proved that. 23 and a half, thereabouts, the youngest starting 11 in League One, alongside Coventry, who did fantastic to get promoted as champions. So it proves that it can be done, and I think the game is benefiting massively from Pete, which myself and Glyn were involved in right at the start, back in 2011, 2012. And we're both coaches. We're both development coaches, so we've got that patience probably to give the young boys a chance, knowing that they'll make mistakes, but also knowing that they are sponges, and they want to learn, and they want to get better, and they want to make their mark in the game. So we had a good balance last year. Some of the senior players were outstanding. Some of them have gone. In Scott Wangstaff and Anthony Wordsworth, just two examples, but I know there are others, in terms of their mentoring of some of the younger players and their attitude towards them. The likes of Callum Riley and Luke O'Neill, the more senior players this time round, will have that responsibility as well. And some of our younger players are incredibly mature. I had to sort of have a second glance yesterday when I was looking through the squad list to see how young Terrell still is, because he doesn't feel like a 22-year-old when he's about the place, and the way he acts and the way he performs both on the pitch and off the pitch. So yeah, really looking forward to it, and we'll I'm sure by the time we start the season, we'll have a nice blend of senior players in the building, new players, and also some young players as well that will be exciting for the fans.
And as you said, I mean, that is the very big part of your job when you came to the club as well, recruitment. How are we making progress in terms of that? Because of course Glyn said that he'd like to get things done earlier rather than later. So how are things coming along?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I think we hope that we'll have some additions in by the time that we restart. But that's not always as easy as it seems, because obviously there's a negotiation process, and things have got to be finalised. And because we're in such a strange period where we don't really know where we're at. I mean, the season potentially is still 2 months away. Probably that if you flip that, that's probably puts us in a normal situation of being probably the 1st of June for an August the first start, which was the scheduled plan. So normally it's probably 6 weeks maybe before everything's tied up, and obviously the issues around players' contracts and when they run out, and when the window opens has caused problems as well. But all I can say is that we've been working incredibly hard as a staff. That goes to the 4 scouts that have been working diligently by reporting online. That's been possible because of the club's support, in investing in infrastructure that allows us to do that. We wouldn't have been able to do that 18 months ago. We would have just not had any opportunity to watch players. But we made a decision, and that was backed by Wally and supported by Glyn when he took over, to look at different ways and novel ways of doing things. So we've explored every type of recruitment tool to be able to help us through this period. Our partners have been incredibly supportive in giving us additional logins and also additional access. And the productivity of the guys, the 4 guys that I mentioned, has been astounding. They've, I think we've turned over, 400 player reports since the 1st of April. Explored, new markets, current markets, all sorts of things really, and been quite experimental in what we do, because we feel that that's the way forward. It won't stop us from signing a Nesta Guinness Walker from a Met Police, but further down the line, as we become, again, a world-renowned team with a stadium opening and everything that goes around that, our profile will raise. So what we've tried to do is try and get ahead of the game in that. And as you know, Rob, there have been players from beyond these shores that have played for the football club in its previous guise, and that's a possibility that can happen again. So there are good players all over the world. Obviously, the closer they are to home, the easier it is. So as well as looking at this current window, we've been looking at how we can move the club forward in terms of being prepared for what the future brings. And I believe that fits in with exactly what the ethos of the football club is, across all departments.
Seems like we're in a really good place with that, with the recruitment. I mean, it's like you've got the 4 scouts there, as you say, and we're able to make a decision on a player more sort of quickly and clearly now if we need to sign them.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that was my remit when I first came in January of 2019, was just to spend a 3-4 month period, because that's what it was initially, to try and put something together to allow Wally and Glyn to and the rest of the coaching staff and support team to work with players in getting that objective of staying in League One, which was obviously done last game of the season against Bradford. That started obviously with in that window with Aaron Ramsdale and Steve Seddon in particular, and has continued since. So yeah, in essence, I think the strange thing about the current situation with COVID-19, that's helped us, like it has for a lot of clubs. I speak to a lot of people, and they've done the same as us. We're not on our own in that, but yeah, certainly it's put us in a much better position. And if Glyn wants to know, today, which players in a certain position that we've recommended to sign as a recruitment team, then he can do that within seconds. As should be the case, and there are no question marks then. And then it's a case of, the coaching team, which is then my other hat in terms of making those decisions about what we can do. And then further on from that, once we've made those decisions, it's up to Joe and the guys, to be able to try and put together a package that will allow us to bring that player in. And if we can do that, great. If we can't do that, then we move on to the second target or the third target. But yeah, we've got plenty of options, and it's just a case of working through them.
Having come into the club and seen what's been achieved now, that these fans have managed to get Wimbledon, the football club, back to where its roots were, back near Plough Lane in the Football League as well, and be fan-owned. Glyn's spoken about it as well, of wanting to reward these fans with a squad. And I suppose that's something you very much echo as well, yeah, to give them something they can be proud of.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In terms of landmarks, obviously spoke about the Bradford game. I think we felt strongly, myself and Glyn, that we would achieve League One status again. Even if we'd have gone all the way to, the 44th game of the season, and that would have been, against Coventry at home, which would have been a challenge. But we felt that was possible. But for the football club, the single biggest milestone will be, that first game in the new stadium. And from an outsider, in many ways, that's the bit that you don't really realise until you really get into the heart of the football club and see you guys work, and all the volunteers that have been part of this football club for 18 years now. And that's the bit that does get you. It gets, you build a stronger affinity with a football club like that than you would do if it was a normal football club. And that's not been detrimental to Scunthorpe, my previous club, or Barnsley before that, or whatever. It's just the way it is. I spent 9 years at Bury and 5, in total, probably about 9 years at Rotherham. So those things take time to build, but it kind of gets you straight away at AFC Wimbledon, which is a fantastic feeling in itself. So no, Glenn's absolutely right. He's been a big part of this football club for many years, and the objective is to be able to put the best team on the pitch that we possibly can within the constraints that we have in this current situation, and as our standing within League One. But one thing for sure, they'll continue to give 110%. As they do, as they've done every week since I've been at the football club, and with a fair wind, that'll allow us to be, more competitive and beyond more competitive moving forward. How long that will take, but the objective obviously is to be climbing the league and getting towards those playoff places, and then having the dream of taking that next step into the Championship when that opportunity arises.
Going to be a special day, of course, for Glyn Hodges when he steps out at Plough Lane, and the fans are back in as well. Of course, I think it's coming up to a landmark total of years since he stepped out there as a player for Wimbledon. It's going to be special for him. I suppose it'll really hit you as well, hit home, won't it? The fact of what everyone's achieved to get this club back to where it is. Yeah,
well, I've still not been down. I was due to go down, I think, next, which was a couple of weeks, after we locked down. So I've had to look at the drone footage, which I get on Twitter, quite regularly to see if that's been uploaded. I saw the picture of Anthony signing his new deal last week, which was the last visual I've seen of it. The grass is green, which is brilliant. The stand looks fantastic, and we know that when in whatever a couple of months' time, that it'll be complete, four-sided, and ready to go. So the news around the investment and the loan that's come about in the last month or so has just finished it off on that side, which is great. But yeah, it's going to be incredible. I know from my time at Rotherham United, the challenges we face through administrations and having to leave Millmore and move to Don Valley, and then I didn't get the opportunity. I'd already left by then when they moved into New York Stadium. But I played in Paul Warne's testimonial, I think 12 months after that. And it's an incredible venue, and I think ours will be exactly the same. I think it'll be a real arena for the supporters to come and enjoy and socialise, use the fan zone, use the corporate and commercial facilities, which will help us as well. So yeah, it's that day can't come quick enough. Just praying that things move forward with COVID and more fans can be in the stadium for that first game, because that will be the only I suppose small negative, that it won't be full, with whatever 9,000 people, and if that's what we could achieve.
When you see what Wycombe have achieved this week, when you think of where they were this time last year, of course, Wimbledon's links with Gareth Ainsworth, Darius Charles, Bayo Akinfenwa as well. Can we take a lot of heart from that achievement building going forward, trying to take us to the next level?
Yeah, I think we can, and I think probably the single biggest thing is and I've seen, I don't know Gareth personally. Gareth's a similar age to me, and we played against each other when I was at Bury and he was at Preston and Lincoln. But you can feel his ideas around the game, how he wants his team to be, what he expects of them on and off the pitch, and I think that fits in with ourselves. it's easy, I think, to just suggest that, or it's flippant probably just to suggest that that's easy to achieve. It's taken Gareth, a long time to achieve that. As one of the, if not longest serving managers in the EFL, it's testament to his football club to allow him time to succeed, fail, plateau, and go through that whole cycle, on a week-to-week basis. And I know as much as many that how hard that be and how quickly that can end. So I think we've shown evidence, in the length of time that Neil was given an opportunity to take the club forward, which he did. And I'm sure that won't change. And the more success stories built around longevity and managers being given time to develop can only be good for all of us that are involved in that side of the game. So, credit where credit's due. Gareth's done an outstanding job, and I'm really pleased for his football club. And like you said, hopefully we can follow in the footsteps of somebody like Wycombe.